Good morning. So you're probably wondering, why is this in the polytunnel? Like, why is this big piece of plastic here? And this was outside ready for a project in autumn. And I was at home the other night and it was like 10 o'clock at night. It was pitch black, honestly. And the wind was battering against the house. There was rain and it suddenly dawned on me, there's a storm due. So I checked my phone app and yes, it was. And I thought, I've left the polytunnel doors open. There was probably a few things, left around the plot. And I definitely took my foot off the mark. Normally I'm very good at that, of preparing for storms and making sure my plot is safe and also nothing blows around the site as well. Because that's one thing I do when we're having storms as well, is I go around my neighbouring plots just in case they've forgotten or they've gone away, and there might be a small sheet of perspex or something just tucked up against their shed. I make sure it's secure, because the last thing I want is a storm to blow it through the tunnel here and slice this, like a cake. And yeah, so I do try and do that, but that didn't happen. So I came over and I secured the polytunnel, and the shed creaked, or there was a squeak over there from a rat or something. I jumped a mile. Let me show you the clips. So I'm heading to the allotment at 10 p.m. because I've just noticed that there is a storm due tonight and the winds are going to get up to like 35 miles per hour, and they are going the direction of the polytunnel. So both doors I think I'm going to close up. So never ends. I don't know if anyone else has done this, but turning up to your allotment in the middle of the night is kind of creepy indeed. But sometimes you just need to do it. There we go. That should do it. It is super spooky here, honestly. Super spooky. Right. I'm a little bit concerned as well about this big piece of plastic here. Because if that starts flying around, it could cut into the polytunnel. And that's the last thing I want, is to do that here. So, yeah. Don't fall now, do not fall. Where to put this safe? Probably in the tunnel. Get an allotment, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Let's go home. And hopefully the next time you see me, it'll be daytime. Oh my god, what's that noise? Oh, so I think it was a squeaky rat or something. Whew. I'm scared of myself now. That's how silly I'm being. Right, let's go home. So am I condoning this behaviour? Absolutely not. Do not go to your allotment late at night. But I was just worried about the polytunnel, and it was dark here, and it made me realise that I disconnected the shed on the fig and olive plot. I have got, let me show you. I've got like a solar panel set up there, and I've got floodlights connected to it. And this little key here is so handy. Normally what happens is I can get to the gate, press the key, the floodlights come on, and you can come onto the plot anytime you want. And I've shown it in videos in the past. But when I took the polytunnel down on the fig and olive plot, I disconnected that system and it's on the list. You know, this polytunnel is taken over now, so I need to focus on setting up some more of the gadgets and getting the plots ready, because it gets dark so early now. You know, we're delving into autumn. Winter is horrendous to try and film, you know, on the allotment, especially if you're working and then you're trying to get your afterwards. That's a no-no. But if you haven't noticed, we've got a new mic. The microphone's come. Sod's law, it came. Yes, that's right. Just as I was finishing the ending of the video, I had a message saying your parcel's been delivered. Typical. So before we get started, I thought I'd show you the importance of having a microphone. And as YouTubers, there's a lot of stuff that we have to buy to create the quality of videos that we give to you. And not saying mine are, you know, up there with Spielberg, but you know, having a microphone, having a good camera, having all that kit, tripods, everything else, you know, it does improve the video. So I'm going to show you having a microphone, which you heard now, but I'm going to do it outside, having no microphone on the camera, and also no microphone on the camera, but using an editing software, which is what I had to do the last 2 weeks. And it wasn't perfect, but you can improve it a little bit. I mean, let me show you. So obviously this is with a microphone, it's clear, you know, there's no wind disturbance. I have got like a wind protection on this microphone as well. And the good thing about these is as well, is you can actually travel far distance away from the camera. It'll still pick up your voice and it won't interfere with other things in the area. So there is a benefit to using a microphone. Now let me show you without a mic. So this is the camera without a microphone, and it's just picking up the actual internal microphone on the camera. And as you can tell, there's a lot of disturbance. It's quite quiet on the plot today, but if there was wind or rain or, you know, machinery in the background, farmers using their tractors and whatnot, it becomes quite a hustle and bustle on the plot. So there is, you know, as you can tell, there is a difference. But let me show you now. With a little bit of editing, it does get a little bit clearer, but it's still not perfect, but it's, you know, it can be done. So yeah, I thought I'd show you having a microphone, no microphone, and then having no microphone, but editing the video, you know, the sound to improve it a little bit. But I just thought I'd show you those differences. I mean, is it relevant to a garden? No, but if you are thinking about YouTubing or understanding, you know, sometimes we're, you know, when people say, oh, you get a free this or you get free that. No, we use that money sometimes, or we use this and that to you know, provide the kit for YouTubing. And I have noticed something exciting on the plot. Right, let's go a bit vloggy today, is there? Let's give a bit of a wiggle camera and let me show you what's happened on the green manure bed. So as you can see, it's all germinated. It's done really well. Yeah, I'm so pleased with that. Actually, I'm actually really pleased. I mean, there's a few little gaps, but that's not too bad. That's actually not too bad at all. So yeah, we've got a few clumps. And what happened was I could see it germinating the other day when I popped over, and I gave it a quick rake over again because I could see a lot of the seeds were germinating on the top of the soil. So I just gave it another little quick rake over, and as you can see, it's done pretty well. And also the bloody mole's back, because I can see he's gone down the side of the plank here and then he's popped his head up in the bed here. But yeah, those moles. Now the outdoor tomatoes now, they're still battling on a little bit, but I definitely need to get them in now. I need to just take all these plants out. I mean, we've still got a few sunflowers that are still, you know, putting out some blooms. But yes, it's time to start clearing some of these beds up now, because I want to put some green manure in these beds as well. There is a few down there as well, some beans and some squash plants that need to come out. There is actually a mashed potato squash down there that I want to take out as well. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. So the plans are that I do want to try and green manure quite a lot, plant up the garlic soon. You know, it won't be long before it's October. And yeah, the leeks are doing well in this bed, but the plot is looking really, really drab now and wet. And there's still these areas here that I need to address and sort out. And yeah, and also over here. These now, these rogue pumpkins have literally taken over 4 raised beds and a trellis over here. And it's starting to get powdery mildew now, and don't be worried about that so much. You know, this is kind of normal. Take it all out, but we're getting a lot of new growth from here. And to be honest, I don't really want these, you know, these pumpkins or squashes because they're a bit of a hybrid. There's kind of some like zombie sort of hybrid ones over there. But I think now is the time to clear all this out. You know, the asparagus ferns, they'll start dying down soon. As you can see, the golden ones at the back there, they've already started. That's a telltale sign that it won't be long before they all go nice and golden brown, and then you can chop them. And I tend to chop them about 3 or 4 inches from the floor. Now, if you have asparagus, don't cut them back until they do go golden brown. They've obviously died, because at the moment, all the energy now is going into the crown, ready for next year. So the plan is, once that all goes golden brown, a couple of inches from the top, because what you don't want is, you don't want to put them ground level and then they, you know, they're on water level then. So I tend to leave them a little bit higher over autumn. And plus, you know where the crowns are. So if you're weeding around, you're not going to hit those crowns or anything. You know where they are because the old stalks are poking up a little bit. And then obviously mulch it all over for autumn. I'm going to show you that in a video coming up, how I sort the asparagus bed out. And then in spring, then you can cut those old ones off and the new ones will come up. And yeah, we're hoping for a good crop from them again next year. So I think today is I can't do it. The wind has obviously knocked this sunflower stem off, which is a shame. This was the main stem. But you know, the wind ripped through this site. And that was the reason kind of the idea of putting the polytunnel across this way. Now, it wasn't just because of the sun, because the sun comes from here and goes over. That obviously is one factor, but it was also because down here is like kind of like a valley, and the wind comes through here in summer. And the idea was, having the doors open in summer, the wind would blow through and give it natural ventilation. And it's worked really, really well this year. But now is autumn and winter, the wind does tend to change direction a bit. But the problem is, I've got this screen in here, but we're still in the, you know, the end of summer, and it came ripping through here, and I was worried that it was going to blow all the rain from the storm into the tunnel and start causing issues in there with fungal issues. But yeah, we seem to have escaped it. I'm going to clear out a lot of things today because it's all getting wet and gnarly now, and it's time to just take it all back down to the ground. And some people might think it's boring to do that, but I don't. I actually look forward to it because it just means that you've finished, you know, you've finished the story for that year. And yeah, I'm pleased with the year. There were some things that did amazing, some things that didn't do as well. And for some reason, my cosmos have decided now to just put this like growth spurt right across the path. Now, these didn't do well at all. We've had very, very little flowers, but a lot of greenery this year. And it's now taken over the path. And the paths that I actually weeded and I've sorted out, I've started getting, you know, some perennial weeds in. But the leeks in this bed, which I've weeded this bed 100 times this year, I don't know what's going on with it. But yeah, it's doing okay. There was some worries about some rust, and I can see some kind of, you know, issues with the bottom leaves, but I'm actually quite pleased with them. These are the northern lights. I'm hoping that these are going to come beautiful for me in the next couple of months. But they've grown so well in here. And over here, this was the baby boo and Jack Bee little plants. These were the little pumpkins. As you can see now, I can start seeing them. I can see quite a few. I'm going to collect them today as well, and they can cure in the polytunnel, or I might take them home because I've got an issue in there. I put some pears in there the other day and I thought, oh, they'll be okay in there. It's quite cool now. No, a mouse or a rat has got in and nibbled them all. So that was a bit annoying, very annoying to be honest, but there's still quite a few pears, but it's just like, God, give me a break. And I've also noticed these really strange, I'm going to use the word again, gnarly mushrooms. I'm guessing something's eaten them a little bit, but they're up the pasture, and there's quite a few now in, you know, in the bark area. And what's happened is It's got quite humid and wet because of obviously all the rain. Perfect breeding ground for these, you know, these little fungi. So it's not going to be long before all of this is going to be cleared out, and then I'm going to re-bark all the paths. And I thought a lot of this bark on these paths on the fig and olive plot, they've been down quite a few years now. There is quite a bit on the top that's only a year old, but underneath there must be a good, you know, 4 inches now or so of well rotted bark. So if you remember, I put all brand new bark down here a few years ago when I took over this plot. Now the good thing about using these like bark wood chips paths is that it does naturally walk down, and plus your traffic on there is actually grinding it down as well. So a lot of this will be topping up some of the beds this year. So use your paths to feed your beds. Now the storm actually knocked off quite a few apples, and when it was pitch black I went over with my phone and I seen about 9 or 10 that were on the floor because of the storm. So I picked those up, took them home as well. God, I must be mad, honestly, I must be mad. But you've definitely got to have a passion for gardening to be doing the things that we do. So I've actually got some grapevines. Yes, grapevines are coming back to the allotment because I actually missed them so much, having them on the grapevine plot for so many years. And, you know, using those grapes to make wine, to make juice, to make jams, I've missed it. So I've got a red one here that I've had a cut in off Mark, a plot holder. And I've also got a black and white one here, and it's doing okay, but it's starting to lose all its leaves now. Now if this happens, you know, it's just doing its thing. It's coming into autumn and they'll overwinter and it might just turn into a little stick, and then in spring then obviously it'll start leafing up again. So don't be worried, and that's also the case for figs. So if your fig branch is starting to drop some leaves and overwinter, you're like, oh, it's dead, give it a chance, because I assure you the chances are that it'll come back next year with loads and loads of foliage. And I had quite a few people message me last year about their cut-ins for figs, and I said give them a chance. And this year a few of you got back to me and said you were right, you know, it started to bulk up and you'll start seeing extra side shoots coming off and stuff. So it is a work in progress if you're taking cut-ins, but those I'm hoping to put them onto one of the plots, and hopefully we'll start having grapes in the next couple of years. So not just think about crops that are quite instant and you get them straight away, think about future things. You know, a few years ago I planted those asparagus knowing in a couple of years time I would be, you know, having asparagus. And that's the thing about gardening, is you have to be patient sometimes. And that also goes with fruit bushes and apple trees, pear trees, you know, all fruits. You have to give it a bit of time. You know, these quick crops like cabbages, onions and whatnot, a few months. But sometimes think for the future of your garden. So if you want something, you think, oh, you know, but it takes too long. Before you know it, you'll be there harvesting them. So don't keep putting it off. You know, I wish I put the grapevine in a year or two ago now, but it doesn't matter. We're here now. We're going to get some grapes in the future. Right, so these were the Tsar. So I do want to keep some of these. Do I need a crate? Yes, I do. This'll do. Right, so the Tsar, they're starting to die off now, and I want to be a bit proactive this year, because the problem that you get is that if you leave these structures up too long, the wind just keeps pushing at them, making them weaker, and they'll end up collapsing over anyway. So, you know, get them down while you can. You know, if you've got an hour or so spare, and plus it's getting wet now, it's getting really, really wet and boggy. And if you're collecting beans and seeds and whatnot, it's not the ideal time to be letting them get all wet. So a couple of these I'll take off, and hopefully we'll have some seeds for next year. If not, I'll have to buy some more, but it's always worth trying. And if you are thinking about collecting seed, try the lower branches, because obviously they have been on there a lot longer, and I do tend to keep a few because they go obviously brown first, because they've been on the vines longest. So chances of you collecting seeds from the top ones, it's a lot slimmer. And you don't need many, you know. This one here, I think it's 26. I think it's 13 either side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's 13 either side. And so you only need 26 beans. You know, I try and keep quite a few more than that, but don't be thinking, oh, I gotta collect every single thing, because you don't. Just get what you need. Get the strongest ones. And the rest you can compost. Be brutal. Or keep some extra beans, some extra seeds for friends, for new plot holders that might come in next year. And that's one thing that they will appreciate. Leeks, runnerbean plants, those type of things. You know, it's always nice to share. And it's also nice to see them coming down as well. And it sounds brutal, it really does. But I do like the whole process of gardening. My favourite part, if you haven't noticed, is the sowing of the seeds and having the whole polytunnel kitted out, you know, with trays and trays of plants that might not even end up in my garden, and that's okay. I don't mind giving some away as well. To me, it's the whole process of growing and it's the whole process of sowing and growing. And these canes as well will be stored in the polytunnel. Another great storage area for winter is your polytunnel or your greenhouse. So if you are thinking about buying a shed or greenhouse or a polytunnel, I advise an 8-foot one at least, because these canes then can be stored without them hanging out your door. So I'm close to 10k now, so thank you so much for everyone who subscribed recently and everyone who has continued to put up with my nonsense every week. But yeah, so thank you very much. And if you are new to the channel, I apologise. It's not always like this. It's not always dark and drab and wet. There's always plenty of projects going on. And speaking of projects, you know what I'm gonna say. The shed. So it is happening. I feel like, honestly, I apologise to you all as well, how long I've gone on about this shed. But it's just bad timing. It's just really bad timing. Things keep happening. The weather keeps battling me. And I'm not going to do it where the weather's making it horrible, because I want to enjoy doing it as well. And that's the thing. It's not just a job to me. It's not just content for a video. It needs to be perfect for me as well. And once it's built, I want to know that when I put that last screw in, the last nail, that I gave it my best shot. And I did, because I don't want to be going back over it next year, be like, I wish I did this and I wish I did that. It's all drawn up, it's all planned. So that will be coming very soon, I promise. This one seems to be a lot more messier than the last one. Left them on the beds for a few days as well. They were on there from last week. And they'll be okay there for a while. They'll dry up, and I'm sure there's loads of bugs and insects benefited from them as well. And any extra beans and things that any animals want to eat, they're welcome to them. Right, I'll get back to you when I've finished all this. There we go. It feels so strange, you know, because it sounds daft, but having these two walls here really does make the polytunnel feel a bit secluded and protected. And whenever you go back down to the ground, you feel more vulnerable as a gardener. And it's strange to say that, but that's how I feel. Now these ones are a lot easier. It's going to start to tip down now, but these ones are so much easier to take apart rather than unraveling all those canes and the cable ties. I love these for this, so yeah, definitely using these again next year. Will I put a wall up at the front again? I'm not sure. It worked and it didn't. There was things that I would change, but this actual system of making like a grid effect, it worked a charm, especially for supported things like the sunflowers or, you know, really nice big strong plants. It did really well. And as you can see, apart from the wind snapping the top, stem off, that's really held its ground there. If it was just on one bean cane, it wouldn't have survived this long. But it's Wales, and here comes the rain. I mean, hey, it gave me what, 30 minutes? 30 minutes or so without no rain, so I'll take what I can get. So I managed to get most of it done before the rain came. And it's that misty rain that gets you drenched quickly. So back to other jobs in the tunnel. Oh, look at that. Let me show you. So when it's starting to get drab and yeah, really grey outside, seeing colour like this on the King of the North, it's just beautiful, just to know that it's still producing. And yeah, we're in the end of September now, and I think it's just time to just accept that we're almost at the end. These are a yellow bell pepper. They don't go red. So that was a bit rotten. I'm going to take them off. They are starting to ripen, and I think it'll be another sauce tonight. So one thing I did have to do, which I mentioned last week or maybe the week before, I had to decrease the amount of water going to these. I came over and these were swimming the amount of water in. They hydrated, and I've now decreased it down to 30 seconds a day of water just for them, just to have a little trickle of water in, keep them hydrated, and yeah, they're still producing. So I don't think the tomatoes are going to produce much more and ripen. We're getting quite cold nights now, and I think I'm going to cut my losses with them all, save some seed from some, and hopefully this is the last batch. Well, actually it will be the last batch, because I think I'm going to just take out all the tomato plants now. I mean, we're late September. You're pushing it when you get into October, really. I mean, we're not going to get a big flush of heat now, and the ones that are ripening will ripen at home. So yeah, I think it's time to clear the polytunnel. So we have quite a few bottle gourds on here now, and it's too late, I think, but it is very cute. I'll show you now. So can I grow bottle gourds? Yes. Was I too late for them? Absolutely. But to see that that's enough for me. I would have loved to have bottle gourds growing this year, but it's a lesson learned that I should have planted them a lot earlier. So I'm going to take that forward for next year, because there's quite a few growing, in the polytunnel. I'm going to leave them on, what harm is going to do? There's another one by there. So yeah, what harm is it going to do? I mean, we'll see. I'm probably going to nick these ones off so that all the energy goes into this one actually. Let's just see what happens. And we've also got, look at this. I mean, it honestly could be a cucumber melon, but it's not. Look how tiny that little melon is there. It will never come to anything, but it gave it its best shot. So next year's task is melons, bottle gourds. They're on the list of failures this year, but semi-failures, because you can't do it all. Things happen, things changed, things weren't sown on time for certain plants, and we had that huge heat wave as well. So yeah, lesson learned for next year. We're not all perfect gardeners, but I'm happy with my little bottle gourd. I mean, I said last week or the week before it was the last harvest, but I was obviously wrong. But I'm happy with it. I'm Danny, and this is Grow Up.